Should children get pocket money for behaving properly? 0207, good behaviour. 0207 862 2222. That's the number. Parents give more money to children for staying out of trouble than for any other reason. Recent stats show that good behaviour gets children £1.48 on average, according to children's money app Go Henry. By comparison, they typically get £1.31 for pet duties, £1.14p for helping out around the house, things traditionally seen as more worthy of a reward. But is good behaviour really deserving of money? What did you have to do to earn your pocket money when you were growing up? What do the children in your life have to do now to earn theirs? Do get in touch. We'll start with you, Sarah, because you've got 3 boys. Do you give them pocket money, and do you give them money for behaving well?
Yes. OK, so I have 3 boys, and they're all on the spectrum. At school, they have something called the now and next. So first you do this and then you do that. So they work well on incentives. So yes, if my boys know, my oldest one, Michael, if he knows if he plays nicely with Raphael, the middle one, you're going to get extra chicken tonight. He's like, yes. or you're going to get some money for your special toy you want to buy. Yes. And it works. I feel like also in adulthood, we thrive off incentives. Let's be honest, if you know at work you're going to, get a bonus for doing something good, you work better. In terms of good behaviour, it's about, building, decent human beings. So they shouldn't just do it because they're going to get money. They need to know that, that's how you are going to be in society, helpful and amazing character. So, yeah, I'm all for it.
You're all for it. Darryl?
Not as keen, and I think the incentive thing is fine. I think yeah, you do want to incentivise good behaviour. I think one of the incentives for good behaviour should try as best as you can to instill an incentive of it's the right thing to do. You should, you behave because it's the right thing to do. Feels good for you, feels good for other people. I think I've just a slight issue with the monetary rewards.
With the cash.
With using money as a sort of mechanism for that. I wonder what that does to our kids' relationship with money and how they sort of think about it and the value that they place on it and in relation to their behaviour. I think that becomes a bit complicated for me.
Right, we're going to find out what Rock Chick Joe Wood has to say about rewarding kids with cash simply for behaving properly. Let's see what she has to say.
Well, when my kids were growing up, I used to give them money for chores, not behaving well, pack the dishwasher, tidy your room, do stuff like that. So, but now as a granny, I just slip them a £5.
You hear that, Mum?
Because I love them.
I know exactly what you mean. Similar kind of thing. I do the same thing. But as a granny, you're not thinking, well, if you behave well, are you? You're just thinking, I love you.
Because they're perfect.
Yes, perfect.
They're all perfect. So, slip them some money just because I can.
I couldn't agree with you more. They're all perfect. That's absolutely the mantra for grandmas, isn't it?
Yeah.
At all times.
It's just great. I love being
But I think Sarah has a point about incentivising, though. That, adults like it, kids need it. How are you persuaded? How old is your little one?
Which is only 8 months.
Right.
So we're not quite there yet.
Yeah.
Yeah, and she's kind of like, it's interesting because she's sort of like at that point where she's becoming really impatient. There's a point, isn't there, in a baby's life where they sort of get really restless and being nappy changes become a real battle.
Yeah.
And, feeding we're just weaning her at the moment, so she's just taking little bits, and there's a point at which she becomes kind of like bored of the whole thing and she wants to go do something else. And so it's creeping in a little bit. Obviously with sort of monetary incentives and stuff are a bit far away, but the idea of sort of teaching her patience and teaching her, and I'm sort of quite fascinated with, and you might come back to me in a few years and I'm just doling the cash out just to try and get her to keep her in line.
Quiet,
but I think I sort of quite like the idea. It might be fanciful, but like the idea of her wanting to behave well because she feels rewarded for it naturally, if that makes sense.
Just that you're pleased and she's pleased that you're pleased and she's done the right thing.
Yeah, that might be ridiculous. I mean, you might come back to me in a few years and I'm bankrupt.
What about when you were children, Jo? Do you remember getting pocket money? Do you remember?
I don't remember getting pocket money.
No.
But I used to always help my mum around the house, just naturally. And it was great because she taught me how to do things. Yeah.
And how to cook, presumably.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I could. I could cook a roast when I was 10.
Wow.
Yeah.
Gosh. That's pretty unusual these days. Can your boys cook? Have you taught them to cook?
Well, they know where the microwave is, so...
Yeah. Don't think that counts. I don't think Jo's going to say that counts. But have you shown them? Did you learn to cook from your mum?
I did. So that was instilled in us very early. My mum originally from Ghana, so it's in our heritage, you know, I was learning to cook corned beef stew and lovely, delicious jollof rice and things like that. And with my kids, during lockdown, it was a perfect time to teach them. So I have one video, actually, of my son, who was 10 at the time, learning to cook beef stew. So there he is, you know, putting in the meat and the seasoning.
Yeah.
And when they taste it, they learn to eat better as well.
Yeah,
because they
it's
prepared
very
it themselves. Yeah, so I think it's all good for, like, incentives, instilling it into them.
Yeah.
Also, with giving kids money as well, it teaches them about the value of money from an early age, I think, as well. Because they know, oh, if we've got £2, OK, we've got to save it for this that we want next week and, you know, different treats and things like that. So it's early, you know, building up.
Did you get pocket money? I bet you're going to say no.
I did.
Did you really? Because I thought
But
your parents
not
would
for
just
free.
expect you to just crack
Oh,
on
they
with it
did.
all.
They did. We'd know about it if we didn't do
Yeah.
the housework.
Yeah.
But yes, we got pocket money, and it was a bit like getting a wage in those days. I think in those days, it's probably about £4.50 or something like that. And we were like, yes, this is what we're getting, but you got to do the hoovering. I say to my brother Andrew, and he said, oh, can you do this for me? And we'll swap chores and stuff and just get it done. But yeah, we would definitely have to do things to get our pocket
Let's
money.
talk to David, who's on the line in Cheshire. Hi, David. Thanks so much for ringing. Should we pay children to behave properly?
Good afternoon to you all. I don't know. It's a bit of a tricky subject for me because end of October, I'll be 77.
Right.
And when I was 8 onwards, I was doing odd jobs.
Yeah.
And pocket money for me was 6p a week. 6p.
Yeah, but 6p was a king's ransom in those days. You could buy a house for 6p. Come on, it was a long time ago. You're 77, David.
Yes, but I was also working on farms
Uh-huh.
with a bad back and carting bags of grain weighing 100 about.
Gosh.
Wow.
At 8.
Gosh.
So, you know what I mean? If they can't do odd jobs around the house, what's the point?
So you mean you don't think that these children should be given money? They should just be getting on with it in the way that you got on with it?
Yes, they should have the money,
Yeah.
but do the jobs as a lifestyle exercise.
Yes, and lifestyle,
Yeah.
like a way of gaining life
Yeah.
skills. Absolutely. Couldn't agree with you more, David. Thank you very much. Lovely call. Let's go to another David in Mid Glamorgan. Hi, David.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. What do you think of
I-
giving children money for behaving well?
Absolutely not.
So what do you think?
Well, I think that it shows a lack of contact between the parents and the children, for a start. The thing is, I think it also sets in motion the children on the path to selfishness, because whenever there's something required, things that they should be doing anyway, they're going to ask, what's in it for me? And I don't think that's a good trend for adults, let alone children.
Tell me about when you were a child, David, and whether you got pocket money, whether you had to earn it, how it went.
I didn't have pocket money until I was about 15, 16. Then I was brought up in a shop environment, and I had to work, I think, in the shop, help out with chips. I did my 11 plus in between chipping potatoes for a fish shop. And, it was just, we were all in it together, the three, my parents and myself. Then when I did they changed their job and got a paper shop. I had to collect the money. I did get paid for collecting the money from the roughest area around on a Saturday morning.
Well, I mean, I know exactly what you mean because I've probably told you this a million times before, but my dad was in the underwear business and my dad was all about it's all hands on deck. This is basically I think he used the phrase the family war effort. So there was absolutely no question of being paid to work in the warehouse in school holidays because it was for our family, and he would absolutely tell me as well, how do you think you get the leather on your shoes? How do you think I put the petrol in the car?
Yeah.
It was that kind of a thing. It was all very, very serious and nothing nothing was about pocket money, I can tell you. So, David, I know exactly what you mean. It was all kind of, hands to the wheel and all that. Well, shoulders to the wheel, that's the phrase, isn't it? Put your shoulders to the wheel for the good of our family. So when he says it was my mum and dad and me, and we were all chipping the potatoes, I totally get it.
I get that too.
Yeah. I don't know if it's a generational thing, though, David. Lovely to hear from you. Thank you so much. Let's talk to Fiona in Lancashire. What about your friend, Fiona? What did she do?
Hiya. Yeah, she was really good with her kids, and to make them realise about money and how money doesn't go a long way, she used to give them pay slips at the end of the month, and they would show their money, how they put money into savings, they had a deduction because they didn't wash the car, but they looked forward to their pay slips to see, and they could see it like having tax. It was like a tax on there, but it was not a tax. It was an investment. It was a saving. So it just gets them used to managing money.
God, I wouldn't mind having your friend in here on the sofa showing us all how to do that, because that actually does sound... We all like the idea of that, because it's kind of amusing and inclusive and not patronising.
And it teaches a child about money as well.
Exactly.
So
I mean,
you don't get that, do you, at school? Or
I don't get that at school.
So far as I'm aware, it's been a while, but those sorts of values, those principles are just not ingrained in you, are they, as a
to
kid?
help them in the future.
The practical skills. Yeah.
Did you have a post office savings book? I did.
Yes, I did, yeah.
Yes, just to count it, look at the interest.
Great.
Yeah, it was absolutely marvellous, but also didn't have any money to spend on anything at all because it wanted to go into the post office. It's all character building, all of this stuff, presumably, isn't it? Yeah. Have our characters been built by this?
Yeah, I think so.
Yes?
Mind you, I'm not good with money even now.
It is interesting the way that the sort of Gen Z, as a new generation of the workforce, have a very different relationship with work and money than I think sort of my generation and older have, in that they see it much more transactional, I think. This idea, I was interested in hearing you talking about your father there and the sort of ethos that he drilled into you around work. I'm finding a lot of the sort of younger people that I'm working with thinking, well, no, I'm going to come in at this time, the time that I'm scheduled to come in. I'm going to go home at that time. I'm going to do what I need to do in the meantime, and you're going to give me some money, and then I'm going to go home and live my life. In a way, I sort of admire that. I kind of understand the principle of...
I'm in shock. What can I tell you?
Yeah.
Absolutely shocked.